What a treat to have Amy Lawrence join us this morning. There she is. Her show's coming up an hour and a half away, but we got you going early this morning. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, John. Happy Friday to you. It's the end of week 2 for my
Right.
show, and we haven't blown anything up yet. So I feel like we're doing pretty well.
All good. Some good dog stories to
Oh,
tell from the
gosh.
first 2 weeks, right?
Well, yes, the very first day, my
Yeah.
dog Flower throwing up, literally throwing up on the rug behind me. And against my better judgment, I left her in the room. I should have known because she's pretty high active anyway. But yeah, I wasn't expecting the throwing up, but maybe she was nervous for me.
That's what it was. Exactly. And it couldn't have happened during a break or anything. I mean,
Yeah.
you were on the air when it happened.
Yes, I was. I could hear it and then I could smell it. And so initially I thought maybe I'll just talk through it, but
Right.
there was no way to avoid it because my face, that
Oh, God.
smell. Yeah, yeah.
Well, how would you say the first 2 weeks have gone for you?
Well, other than a few moments like that animal encounter, and also exactly a week ago, the last show of the first week, I got attacked by a bug while I was trying to tag out and involuntarily was swatting at it. So funny video there. But I really do feel like I'm getting more comfortable with the camera. And honestly, it sounds goofy because especially today's generation grows up in front of a camera on their iPhones or their laptops, their devices. But that's just not me. I'm a radio gal. I
Mhm.
fell in love with radio when I was 16. And so to be cognizant of a camera on me all the time is not my comfort zone. But what I've really enjoyed, John, is being able to connect with my guests in a different way, right? So not just you, because you were my very first guest
Yeah.
on All In with Amy Lawrence. And since then, just the ability to make eye contact. So I think for the last 20 plus years, really only being at Super Bowl week or maybe appearing at another event, those were the limited occasions where I could actually talk to my guests and make connections in person with eye contact. I know that's a lost art in 2026, but I really enjoy it. So that and something else that's funny, and you'll know this, of course, because you've been in the business a long time. I've been so beholden to a clock my entire career
Right.
and not having to be quite so set on a clock. So having a guest on this week, we spent, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes. We had a good conversation going, and I didn't have to worry about a producer waving at me behind a window saying, stop, break, break.
Yeah, that's true. That's to me, that's a huge difference. And it's streaming. And if we're 30 seconds late, starting the stream, it's not that big a deal. But with
Right.
you, when you were at ESPN Radio or something, 30 seconds late would have been a really big deal.
Oh, yeah, you get fired for that.
I bet. But that's one thing different. And I like what you said, and I agree about making eye contact with your guest.
Mhm.
We had Reed Breeze, former Baylor baseball player. It's Drew Brees' brother on with us yesterday, and he connects, and I can see him, and it's a plus, isn't it, to be able to see the person you're talking to.
It is. And while I've always loved theater of the mind, so that kind of mystery where you can tell a story and you can describe details, it's like play by play, right? You are telling a story and describing the action in a way that people don't feel like they're missing anything just because they can't see it with their own eyes. I love that art. I really do believe radio is an art form. And so when I teach, my class at Syracuse initially was called The Art of Radio because, and like I said, I love it. I love that creativity. At the
Right.
same time, the connection is different. And people who have listened to me for years are so enthralled now that they can see me. Though it also does come with the occasional suggestion, like one woman who weighed in at the end of last week suggesting that I wear some blush and not eyeshadow and maybe back up from the camera a little bit. So, oh dear. Yeah. So I don't want it to be about what I look like because
Right.
I've fought that as a female in this business my entire career. My phrase that I share with young women that I mentor is role model, not supermodel. Okay. So I don't want people to focus on what I look like. So I'm trying not to focus on it myself,
Right.
but it still is a little, like I said, a little bit out of my comfort zone and I'm getting used to it.
Well, and that's a factor also. I mean, there are times when if you're doing radio, it doesn't matter. You could, I could have a cap on or something and nobody knows. But you do have to put a little bit of effort in knowing you're going to
Yes.
be camera, right?
A
I'm
little
not
bit of
saying that
effort.
for you. I'm saying it for me.
Right. No, agreed. Well, and the other fun thing is that I can share a different part of me. So, as you can see in my makeshift studio behind me, I've got a shelf and I've got some photos and this painting over here that actually my husband and I've got one too. You can't see mine, but that's his. And we did that on one of our first dates from
Oh,
long distance over a video. I've got an award and pictures of my grandparents. And so that's kind of neat too. And today on the show, John, it's a Flower Friday for two reasons. Number one, against my better judgment, my dogs are Flower and Daisy. I'm going to put them on camera, let people say hello because people love dogs. And also, I just love flowers. So I think we're going to have some different flowers here in the studio. So, yeah, that is fun too because you can be creative in a different way with the video.
are you a dog lover like Kirk Herbstreit is with his golden retrievers?
Well, so oh my gosh, I cried last year when he lost his older golden retriever. But yes, so my husband and I bonded over dogs, and one of the things that I love, and God was so good to give me this gift. I had a Australian Shepherd mix, so she was part Aussie, part golden, and she was my constant companion for 12 and a half years. I adopted her from a rescue in the Northeast, I think Maryland actually, and she walked with me through what was really a lonely stretch in my life. I had left everything I knew in Connecticut when I was working for ESPN and went essentially and started over in the New York City area, a place where I never wanted to be. And I mean, never. I was not interested in working in New York, but I had to start this new routine in my late 30s. And just the fact that I had a dog, and at the time, a couple of cats too, but she really made sure that home came with me. And also just, waiting for the opportunity to get married. I'd prayed about that for a long time too. And so my dog Penny, she was 14 plus when my husband and I got married. And then she passed away a few months later, but he got to meet her. He loved her. She really loved him too. And so we are both dog people. Now we've got a mini Aussie and then this crazy dog Flower that we adopted from a shelter. So yeah, I like to say, John, we agree on nothing in this country except for football and dogs.
Yeah.
And I will stick to that. It's two ways, but one way in sports and one way in life that humans can connect across some of our boundaries.
That's pretty good. That is very, very true. How do you like Texas? So your move to Texas, you're down in Navasota, around Navasota. You've almost made it through. Well, I was going to say almost made it through a Texas summer.
Don't tell me.
It's just August. It'll
Mid-August.
in October, okay?
Maybe. Last year on Christmas, it was 85. So whatever Texans might tell me about how it cools off in winter, I'm not buying it until there's some actual snow or a hard freeze, which I guess we got one of those last year. I'll be honest, the adjustment has been a challenge. I was just telling my mom yesterday that I feel like I've barely gone outside this month. So we do a lot of yard work. We have about 5 acres of property and we take care of the front 2.5. And so I force myself out there. We play with the dogs outside every day. I'll walk to the mailbox, but in the month of August, I feel like I've been outside less than any other month so far. The weather's definitely adjustment. The critters, oh my goodness, for some reason we had a family of geckos in the house and trying to chase those things down. They're so tiny. Oh my gosh. I've told my tarantula story on the show already that I came across a tarantula in our backyard in June and it freaked me out. I nearly decided I was never going outside again. So I feel like if I could just get through this, it makes me tougher. And that's what people tell me about Texas. Living in Texas, being in Texas in the summertime, makes you tougher. You don't survive if you're not made of quality stock and character. So maybe it's some kind of an achievement. I'll get a ribbon after I survive my first summer in Texas. But yeah, it's an adjustment. I'll say that. But my husband and I, we went to visit my brother in DC in late July just to kind of get a break. We took my mother-in-law up to Colorado and some 10,000 foot heights to try to get away from the heat a little bit. So we have tried to escape, but yeah, it's one day at a time. I don't know how you guys do it.
I got you. You get acclimated. I grew up in
Okay.
Kentucky and came to Texas, and I mean I don't remember it, but you get acclimated to whatever you're around every day. What do you think about this time of year with football? NFL camps are going.
Yeah.
College is in fall camps. Baylor is 22 days away from kickoff. This is a fun
Wow.
time of year building up, isn't it?
It definitely is. And it feels a little bit like the calm before the storm. You remember that story in the Bible with Elijah where he sent a servant out to look for rain. He'd been praying for rain and nothing was coming, which kind of feels appropriate for Texas actually right now. But the servant would come back and say, I see a cloud the size of my fist on the horizon. And that's where we are right now. We're in that calm ish before the storm. And once football happens, it really does, especially for people who work in the business, it really does set your schedule. It kind of becomes your work week. And I know you with an extra element of traveling and doing games. And so, yeah, I look forward to it because it brings sports fans to the streams, to the radio, to the TV, whatever it happens to be. At the same time, there's a bigger commitment. So it's a positive and a negative in that, yeah, it's all consuming. But I do love that sports fans are so much more engaged. And so our whole idea behind starting the show in early August was to make sure Zach, my producer Zach, he answers so many of my dumb questions, that he and I were able to kind of find a rhythm before we really kick into high gear in football. But I love the buzz. I love the energy around football. And just quick, John, I'll tell you this one story. At least I was prepared for this when I moved to Texas. But early in my career, so going back to my 20s, I spent 4 years in Oklahoma. So essentially had moved there sight unseen. It was early in my career where I was kind of chasing jobs. And so this large 100,000 watt stick, 100,000 watt signal, a station invited me to come be news and sports director. So I did play by play for every sport under the sun. I was following at that time, the Big 12 was different, but I was following Big 12 football, mostly Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. But I did go to the Texas Fairgrounds for the Red River rivalry. I went to some of the best football atmospheres in the country. And it prepared me. My eyes were open to understand what football means in the Southwest. And so I feel like I'm more prepared now to understand that football is a lifeblood in Texas. And so, yeah, that I know people really look forward to it.
Yeah, very much so. High school's coming up even quicker, than
Mhm.
college and the pros for sure. Well, it's a pleasure to visit with you. What do you have coming up on your show on a Friday?
Well, Flower Friday, as I mentioned, so going to
Friday.
highlight some flowers, including my dog, but also really excited because last night, the Field of Dreams in Iowa, in a cornfield with all those baseball Hall of Famers. So what a neat scene. And we're into NFL preseason. Got a friend who, I grew up in New England, but she's also a longtime Patriots insider. And we'll look at what the Pats do for an encore after getting back to the Super Bowl last year. So always excited. And those 2 hours go fast, John.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, pleasure to have you on. Great to see you. Let's do
Yes,
this
you too.
regularly. How about that?
Absolutely. I love this and will forever be grateful for our connection.